Hello, this is Stone Warden, back with episode 7 of Let's Play Final Fantasy XI. If you caught the last episode, the 1 hour rank mission extravaganza, I did promise to get to some artifact armor in this episode, so we're going to do that. Hopefully we can get all 5 pieces for Thief, and depending on how much time we have left, maybe do that for Warrior as well, because in between episodes I leveled Warrior and Thief up to 65, which is our new level cap. So what I wanted to do first, before I get into any of those quests for the artifact armor, is I'm going to head back up to Matt and accept a quest and complete a quest called Riding on the Clouds. And what that's going to let us do is push our level cap from 65 all the way to 70. And Riding on the Clouds is pretty straightforward. The main thing that you're going to want before you attempt Riding on the Clouds is you want to make sure that you have 4 kindred seals. And you get those from random mobs that are above level 50. So if you've done any leveling at all above 50, you probably have a few of these. Just make sure you stockpile a few, and if not, you can go out on a special run and get 4 kindred seals. So again, this is Riding on the Clouds, also known as Limit Break 4, LB4, or Genkai 4. And you want to be on a level 61 job, 61 or higher, and speak to Matt. And as you can see, once you talk to Matt, he'll give you 4 clues, 3 of which refer to someone in Sandoria, Bastok, and Windurst, and another clue that refers to someone in either Selbina or Mahara. I recommend having the guide for BG Wiki open in front of you. That way you can just compare the clues with the list there and have the NPCs, their zone, and their position written down. As far as I know, it doesn't matter what order we trade the seals to these NPCs in, but we get 4 key items for each of the 4 NPCs, and then we bring those key items back to Matt. This is the NPC represented by the 4th clue, and just hop in here, trade him a kindred seal, and we get the key item, Smiling Stone. And clue number 3 is Bihoro Guhoro. Spirited Stone. And clue number 2, Bastok's number 5 doorman, in quotes, is Naji. And he gives us the Scowling Stone. And lastly, the first clue, Lady Who Jumps for Joy at Rolandberry Souvenirs, is an NPC named Kupipi in Heaven's Tower. And she's right here inside of the clerical chamber. Key item, Somber Stone. So those are the 4 key items, and we just take those back to Matt to complete the quest. Having obtained the 4 key items, we just speak with Matt again. Level limit is now 70, and the next quest that moves from 70 to 75 is a bit more robust. Used to be pretty tough, but we'll talk about that in a future episode. So the main reason I wanted to do that is because both of the jobs that I've been using, Thief and Warrior, are at 65, which was the level cap, and I did not want to inadvertently get a bunch of experience points and have them wasted. So I wanted to go ahead and raise that cap. That way, if we get some experience completing a quest or a mission or an ROE, then we're still good to go. We didn't waste any of that. So having bumped that level cap up to 70, what we want to do is start our artifact armor quests. And again, you can do this a little bit earlier. The weapon, the artifact weapon, is available at level 40. And then the other pieces of armor you can wear between levels 50 and 60. They're just a little bit harder to solo at the levels that you can do them. So I kind of like to get to 60, 65 and then come back and do these quests. But again, they are available a little bit earlier if you're in a rush to get your artifact armor. To start the Thief artifact armor line of quests, you want to come all the way to the northern tip of Windhurst Woods. Up here it's J3, and there's an NPC, Nana Migo. Have to be on Thief and have to be 40 or higher to get this initial quest. All right, make sure you get that key item. Letter from the Tenshodo. And as you probably recall, the Tenshodo headquarters is here inside of Neptune Spire. Again, you have to have the Tenshodo membership done so that you can actually get back in here and talk to the folks. Did that in a previous episode. If you haven't done that, go back and check that out. It's pretty quick, pretty easy. As soon as you enter, it's this first guy here, Harneck. Alright, so that gives us the key item Tenshodo envelope, and we're supposed to take that to an NPC in Selbino, Elfried, at J9. And nothing is ever easy for an adventurer. He could just sign the note that says he's on the straight and narrow, but instead he'd rather send us all the way to Bordeaux to try to steal a bowl of Quadov stew. And that has to come from the garnet, silver, zircon, or bronze Quadovs. So we got to head out there and try to steal one of those. Unfortunately, steal is much easier with gear that gives a bonus to steal, like artifact armor, which is what we're trying to get. So we'll see how lucky we get with this. Thanks to the magic of editing, it should be quick and painless for you. Not sure how it's going to go for me, but let's see. Alright, so our targets, again, are the garnet, silver, zircon, and bronze Quadovs, and they're not in the starting area. You come through the tunnel and then come back out over here on this side, the southern side of the zone, come up to the top the top platform, and these guys are running around up here. Now, depending on what level you are, These are too weak for us at level 65, but you can try to steal. And we got it on the first try. And then hide. And sometimes you can do that, steal and hide, but wow, got it on the first shot. No editing required, folks. You saw it here first. That worked pretty well. Come back in here and trade to this NPC the stew. It gives us the key item signed envelope. Take that back to Tenshodo headquarters, and that should wrap it up. Alright, so we obtained the Marauder's Knife. Pretty decent for level 40, but we're a little bit past that, so not much use for it. Alright, so the next quest in the quest line is called As Thick as Thieves. And again, we come back to Nanamigo in Winder's Woods at J3 to get it started. So you have to be level 50 or higher and on Thief to flag the quest. Alright, 3 key items. And if we talk to these 2 NPCs here, we should get some clues. One of the things you want to make sure you have before you set out is there are 3 goblins that we'll end up gambling with later on. One wants lizard eggs, one wants gauze-bait grass, and the other wants rock salt. So grab a stack of those. Gauze-bait grass is a little bit more expensive than the others, so I only have 3. I hope that's enough. It's a little bit tougher to get, but we'll get to the gambling later. First, we're supposed to head to the Sauromugue Champaign. Alright, so once we're out on the Champaign, all those dark squares that you see on the map are towers. And there's a NM goblin that will spawn from these towers randomly if you're on this quest. And so we're just going to run around, click these towers, and see if we can get the goblin to spawn for us. Attempt number 1. And we got nothing. Alright, attempt number 2. And nada. Alright, attempt number 3. And there he is. Hey, buddy. Maybe should have had some trusts out for this. Yeah, I definitely should have had some trust out to make that quicker. But anyway, now that we have the grapnel, we go to the tower at I/J7, which is the one we were just at, and take off all of our equipment. Alright, now that we have come to the tower at I or J7, it's right there on the line, and taken off all of our equipment, what we need to do is trade the Grapnel to this question mark and get our cutscene. Alright, having got the first signed forged envelope key item, we head back to Juno, and we're going to head to Lower Juno, back to Muckvix's junk shop. And he's in the hallway here. He offers to roll some dice. And we won. Having won the game of chance with the Goblin and Lower Juno, we're supposed to do this 3 more times with 3 different Goblin NPCs in Dangruf Wadi. That zone is found in the southwest, really the far west corner of South Gustaberg. So you come out of Bastock and then just head west, and eventually you'll zone into it. If you've been there before, obviously take the book warp. I believe there's the book as soon as you go in, but I haven't been yet since creating this character, so we'll head that way. Alright, so the first goblin that we're gonna gamble with is named Saltvix, and he's here at F7 on the map, so just make your way up here. Be careful, because the mobs here are pretty low level when you come in, and then very quickly shoot up. They added some super high level mobs a few years ago, and so it can be pretty deceptive. When you walk in, you're higher level than everything, you turn around the corner and boom, everything is much stronger than you. So just take a little bit of care there. Alright, so first up, trade rock salt to the question mark, and he'll come out and gamble with us. And we lost, so we lose our salt. Lost again. Alright, and we won on the 3rd try, so. Alright, and the second goblin, Grasswix, is right here at F5 as the tunnel ends. There's a question mark here. And we'll trade him a grass. Nice. First shot. Alright. Alright, and to find the final goblin, Eggblix, come down here to this G and F11 area and just keep heading west. And you walk through a wall. I believe the Sermit door is used for some other quest, but we fall down the hole and then head south. And here's our question mark. Fantastic. So we have beat all 3 goblins at Game of Dice. And now they've said they don't actually have the Regal die. We need to go find her, find their sister. So now we head up to J3 and Dangruf Wadi, which is all the way in the northeast corner of the map, and then we'll zone out into a secret area of North Gustaberg. And up here at J3, we'll ride another geyser up. And then zone out into North Gustaberg. Alright, and then after zoning into North Gustaberg, we run a pretty good ways east, I believe it is, until we see a question mark. Yep, and here's the question mark down here at F8. But there's a fight involved, and I learned my lesson last time, so I'll have my trusts out this time. Man, they really do not want to give up this die. Alright, don't leave before clicking the question mark again. And that's a heartwarming cutscene, folks. So happy that they could see the error of their ways, that harming adventurers is not the way you should be living your life. So now that we have our Regal die, we can head back to Lower Juno, trade it to the goblin that we originally gambled with, and get our second signed forged envelope. Head back to Munkvix's junk shop. Trade this fella here the Regal die. Alright, interesting cutscene, and our key items, second signed forged envelopes. Now we're going to head back to Nanamigo for our reward. Alright, good stuff. We got our first piece of artifact armor, the Rogue's Bonnet. Alright, so the structure for artifact armor is pretty similar across most of the jobs. And the way it works is you can quest the weapon at 40, you can quest the first piece of armor at level 50, and then once that first quest is done, so for Thief it was As Thick as Thieves, that opens up 2 additional quests. One is the Hands quest, Borghertz's Hands, and then the other is the quest for the final piece of artifact armor. So you can do those in any order that you want to. The main thing to keep in mind is that when you do the Hands quest, which we'll do next, what that does is it opens up a couple of other coffers as well. So with the Hands quest, you'll technically get 3 pieces. You get the Hands for the job, and then you'll have 2 other coffers. So for example, for Thief, once we flag that quest, there's Castle Ostrosia and Castle Zvahl Bailey's. We just go and open the coffers, and as long as we're on Thief when we open those coffers, we will get the appropriate piece of gear. So Castle Ostrosia is the leg piece, and for Zvahl Bailey's, that's the chest piece. So the way the Hands quest works is you start here in Upper Juno, and we walk into this place called durable shields. And speak with this fellow over here in the corner, Gooselam. Alright, so talking to Gooselam flags the quest, and as we can see here in our quest log, we have Borghertz's sneaky hands. So what this means is that we need to go to Davoi, or the Monastic Cavern, and find the treasure coffer. We get a Davoi coffer key to open it, or we pick the lock. And because we have flagged this sneaky hands quest, we don't need to be on Thief when opening the coffer. However, as I mentioned before, this also opens up 2 additional coffers, and you have to be on whatever job it is that you're doing the artifact armor for. Before I head to Davoi and the Monastic Cavern, it's important to note that when you're headed out to do these coffers, depending on how far along you are in Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, this Curio vendor Moogle may sell you the key that you want. Because I've held back on progress in Rhapsodies of Vana'diel until I do some of the other storylines, he's only willing to sell me chest keys at the moment, so we'll have to farm those when we get there. Alright, so here's the thing about the Davoi coffer key. It actually opens the coffers in Monastic Cavern. So you can farm the key in either Davoi or the Monastic Cavern. It drops off of the Orcish champions, Dragoons, Dreadnoughts, and Far Killers. If you come to this part of the Monastic Cavern, this is where most of the coffer locations could be, possible locations, and it's also where a bunch of the mobs that drop the key can be found. So this is a good place to both farm the key and open the coffer. So one of the things I can tell you from experience is that farming the Davoi coffer key, if you have to do it by killing the mobs, the best place to do it is actually come all the way through Monastic Cavern until you get to this middle portion of Davoi. And these are really the highest level mobs between the 2 zones. And it can be a little messy, but see, they're easy prey inside Monastic Cavern, and they're tough and better for me outside. So the fights will be a little bit tougher, but I think the key will probably drop a little bit quicker if we do it up here outside. So that's what we're going to try to do. All right, and there's the key. Next, we need to go open up the coffer. So here's the thing about treasure coffers. There are a number of possible locations for each one. I suggest going to BG Wiki and looking at the marked maps for whatever zone you're in, trying to find the coffer. The little pink squares are the coffers. The little blue squares are for the chests. Chests and coffers are two different tiers of treasure chests. So I have the map up in front of me for Monastic Cavern, and I'm going to go around all the various possible locations, see if we can locate it. There used to be, I'm assuming it's still there, a 15-minute cooldown between when someone else opens the coffer. So if someone opens it, it will disappear for 15 minutes and then reappear in another random location. This used to be a big problem because you had a lot of people doing artifact quests and whatnot. Now less so because most of the player base has moved on to higher level stuff. But anyway, we'll still hope for some good luck in locating the coffer. And there it is. Opening the coffer is easy. Remove our invisible status and trade the key to it. And we got a key item. So next we head back to Upper Juno and talk to Guzlam again. Alright, so having received the key item, old gauntlets, we bring them back to Guzlam, and he quickly tells you he cannot repair them. So, if this is the first artifact armor quest that you've done for hands, we have to do the following. We have to go over and speak to Deadly Minnow, and he gives us a little dialogue there. And then what we do is go to the Tenshodo and speak to an NPC there. If this is not the first time you've done a Borghertz hand quest, then those two things you can skip, the Deadly Minnow part and the Lower Juno part. But this is the first one for me on this character, so we'll go get that done. So we gave 1,000 gil to Yin Pokonaku, and they mention a toolbox on a crate outside the duty-free shop in Port Juno. So that's our next stop. Here's the question mark that we want to click. Alright, and that was crazy creepy. So a ghost armorer has offered to fix our gloves if we will bring the shadow flames from Castle Zvahl. And so that's exactly what we're going to do next. Alright, so the zone line to Castle Zvahl is on the west border of Xarcabard. So just keep going west and you'll run into a little valley. So as we head west in Xarcabard, we get to this area on the map, and we see some of the glowing partitions here as we head up the hill, and this scary looking place at the top of the hill is Castle Zvahl. Alright, so this part of the quest is pretty easy. You come in and just follow the path. This first intersection you come to, heading straight through, straight west, will take us to the Dark Spark part of the Hands quest. So once you get to this gate, there are a number of torches here, and when we click one, the NM that we have to fight will spawn. Alright, and once you defeat the Dark Spark, do not forget to touch the same torch again, and that'll give us the key item, Shadow Flames. All we have to do to complete the Hands quest is to take this key item back to that same box in Port Juno, and there will be a quick cutscene, and then he'll give us the Hands. But since we're here at Castle Zvahl, and that's one of the coffers that we can open for Thief Artifact Armor, I'm going to save myself a trip from having to come back and just do that while I'm here. Castle Zvahl is one of the more confusing places. Highly recommended to have a map. Again, I was silly enough to not bring one, but if you have it up on another screen in front of you like I do, it makes it a little bit easier. You basically have to come around and then back down and then through one of those trenches to get into the castle part. Alright, so once you're in the main castle part, there are 4 quadrants, and each quadrant is populated by a certain beastman. In each quadrant, on this floor, there's a big hole, and as you can see, if you fall down between the torches, you will either go to a different level between here and the ground floor, or you'll fall all the way to the ground floor, depending on which one you fall into. So for the northeast circle, we want to try the northeast corner and the southeast corner, I believe. And we also have to, while we're searching for the coffer, farm a key. And the key drops from Abyssal Demons, Ahrimans, Archdemons, Blood Demons, and Doom Demons. Alright, so back up here in the northwest quadrant, we're going to make this far northwest drop and check this room here. No coffer, but we still need a key, so I'm going to farm the room out and see what we can get. And there's the key. Now we just need to find the coffer. So there's technically 2 more possible locations. These solo rooms in the southwest and southeast. And opening that coffer gets us the Rogue's Vest. And again, the Rogue's Vest is nowhere near as good as the piece that we're currently wearing, the Scorpion Harness, so we'll just store it and hang on to it until it's time to reforge it. Back in Port Juno, we come back to the question mark here outside of the duty-free shop and get our cutscene. Not bad. Dex 3, hit points plus 10, and steel plus 1. Okay, so we quested the hat, we quested the gloves, and we opened the coffer for the chest piece. So that's 3 out of 5 pieces. The last coffer that we have is Astrosia, and that will be for the leg piece. And in the last episode, we were here for missions and quests. And so if you recall, the area for the coffer mobs and possible spawn locations for the coffer itself are past the door that requires the combination and before the trapdoor that you fall down. Our targets are the Yugudo Assassin, Conductor, Flagellant, and Prelate. Most of the mobs up here on this floor will drop the coffer key. Wonderful, wonderful, good stuff. So I farmed up an Astrosia coffer key, and now it's time to locate the coffer itself. I started here just because the box can be hidden behind this pillar. Seen it happen before, so this is the only real out of the way location that the coffer might spawn. And here's the treasure coffer for Astrosia Castle. Sort of in this pool full of leeches. Doesn't that sound amazing? Alright, and that is the leg piece for a thief. Again, not a bad piece, not a great piece, but nonetheless. Alright, now that takes us to the last and final piece of artifact armor for thief, and that is a quest called Hitting the Marquisate. And we start that off by talking to Nanamigo back in Windhurst. So we'll head that way. And here she is. Again, Windhurst Woods, J3. Interesting. So we're back to the storyline about the letters and the thieves. What we're supposed to do now is go to Lower Juno, speak to Yatniel, and he's going to ask for 4 Quake Grenades. Highly recommended. You go ahead and farm those up or buy them from the auction house ahead of time. These drop from the Goblin Miners in the Labyrinth of Ansoso. I had a few from leveling in there earlier, and so we'll need exactly 4. I'll also take this moment to show you something cool, I think. So if you go to the menu here and go to macros, and instead of editing your macro palette down to edit equipment set, you can name a number of these different sets. So it looks like there's 200 that you can edit. Go in, and basically what you can do is you can put in any set of gear that you want. There's 2 uses for this. One, actually equipping the gear with a macro when you want to equip it. And 2, for your lock style. So lock style is a way to look a certain way, look like you're wearing gear even though you are not actually wearing that gear. So you don't have to sacrifice statistics on your gear for aesthetics. You can technically do both. So if you have gear that you can equip, you can lock style it, and so all you have to do is build out what you want to wear, come to the menu, and then hit style lock. Alternatively, you can also in your menu type lock style set and then the number of the set that you want to equip, or you can have that into a macro, which is eventually what we'll do, and that way you can just change outfits by hitting a macro. But that locks our style as the artifact armor that we collected. So we look like a thief without actually having to wear the pieces. So we can still have the superior statistics of these other pieces while looking like we're playing the part. So that is lock style, folks. It's extremely interesting and fun, especially with Final Fantasy XI, all the different pieces of gear that you have access to. So that's another one of the reasons that I wanted to collect the artifact armor, just because I like looking like the class that I'm playing. So now we're going to head off to Lower Juno. Next stop is Mahora, and we're going to speak to an NPC who is located inside of the Sailor's Stay. Alright, so he gives us a key item, Bomb Incense, and what that does is allows us to spawn an NM in Garlage Citadel that we have to kill so that he can remember what he signed. Isn't that convenient for us? Back in Garlage Citadel, we are going to run around and click a bunch of the triple question mark points. They're all over the place. It's very confusing. I highly recommend having the guide up in front of you when you attempt to do this. That way you don't get confused. Apparently there's a particular order, so I'm going to follow the guide on BG Wiki. And we're going to click a few of these points, and then at the end, the last one we click will spawn an NM. It's a bit hairy because the NM is a bomb, and it can use self-destruct, and it can use self-destruct right away. So if it blows up and dies before it's claimed, before we have made it our mob, then it will not drop the item that we need it to drop. So we're going to need to grab it, survive it, and kill it so that we can get the item that that NPC wants. But anyway, here we go. The first spot is right here at the Banishing Gate, and it's just to the south in this little hallway. The question marks are sort of way up here, and they can be tough to because it says out of range. So what sometimes you have to do is go first person. So yeah, sometimes you have to go into first person mode and look straight up to be able to click the question mark. So the second question mark is just to the west. And for the third one, we need to go through the first Banishing Gate. Alright, so past the first Banishing Gate, we work all the way around to the east, then to the south, and then back to the west to F9. There's an intersection here, and so we're going to look at the western hallway off of this three-way intersection. And here's our question mark. Okay, so then we just go right across the hallway. Next, we work our way all the way back around towards the Banishing Gate, number 1 that we came through the first time. And there's another question mark right up here. From there, we head north to G7. And in G7, there's another hole with another question mark. Same process here. First person view. Alright, after G7, we head east, back down to the, I guess, the basement part of the Citadel. And then once we're down in the basement, we head north past the places where we were farming the bomb coals, and then take this sort of northeast tunnel here. And that brings you back up to I 6. So this is going to be the final question mark, and this is going to spawn the NM. So be prepared for the claim and the fight once you click on this one. Worst case scenario. So, if that happens, what that means is that the chandelier blew up, and the good part is that I survived. I wasn't sure that I would, so that's good. The bad part is that now we have to wait 10 minutes for the question mark to respawn. If you zone, that means if you log out or if you leave Garlade Citadel and come back, you have to do all of the question marks all over again from the beginning. So what that means is I'm going to sit here and wait for 10 minutes for this question mark to respawn again. And then I'll be back and we'll make another attempt at it. Alright, so the first attempt was my bad, of course, as always. What happens is he will use self-destruct if he aggroes before being claimed, and bombs aggro to sight and magic, of course, but sight being the main one here. So what we need to do is put up invisible after the cutscene, but before the NM spawns, and there is a moment to do that. So if that happens, we should be good to go. So here's attempt number 2 for the chandelier. Alright, and there he is. Don't have an unlimited amount of time, but we've got a moment here. There we go. And there's the lump of chandelier coal that we need. And so now we take that back to the NPC at Mahara. Okay, we have the information that we need, so we'll head back to Non Amigo. And having obtained the information that she asked for, we come back to Non Amigo to give her an update. And now we must hurry to Ordell's Caves. That's just for the story, folks. There is no time limit. Alright, so we took the book warp to Ordell's Caves, and what we're going to do is run through and come out in a valley in Latien Plateau, where we'll find a question mark that we can trade our pickaxe to. You come down this way. This brings you to a second map. Then you work your way to right here on the map and head back upstairs. That brings you back up to the first map, but in a different section. And so you come over here to the H11 or H12 hole. There it is there. And we fall into this. Which drops us here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to head straight east and into that tunnel. Just be aware that there is a drop down over here where you can fall down and not be able to get back up. So don't want to fall down. Want to head east and come through the tunnel. And that brings you back to this map. And then what we're going to do is we're going to head to the southwest and exit out that way. And we exit down here at about G10. And that brings us out to this valley here. Okay, and here's our target. Down in the very southwest corner of H10. And we get down here and trade a pickaxe to it. Very fun cutscene, and in that they reference a new nation, and it's been 20 years in the rebuilding, which, by the way, it's about 20 years since the Crystal War, but Tavnasia, and so there's a little bit of an intro to some of the content that we'll get into later. Is Chains of Promethea takes us to Tavnasia. Alright, awesome. 5 for 5 Thief Artifact Armor. Really enjoyed questing that out with you. I'm going to cut it off there. In between episodes, I'm going to do some more leveling and get ready for our next limit break quest and more rank missions so that we can get access to more content. So look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.